left-hand side, there are two different animals up here. First of all, the gray animals, tall, slender, those are greater kudu. Those are very young females, about 2 or 3 years old. And the reddish brown animal you see back here is called bungo, also referred to as the ghost of the forest because they hide so well. Yep, right back there doing some TLC on below. Now the greater kudu, being females like they are, they're super quiet here in the reserve, in the forest area. The male version, if you see the game spotting guide, you can hear him 300 feet away. He bangs into just about everything. Left-hand side, Waterhole is a great gathering spot for all the animals here in the forest, but the one I'm looking for is one of our most rare, the black rhino. Folks, years ago, there were hundreds of thousands of black rhinos running all over everywhere. Now, less than 5,000 black rhinos in the world. The reason we got those numbers is because we sent a lot of black rhinos into other nations because they don't have the poacher problem we have here. So we get a chance to count those as well. Here are two perfect examples of fully grown 3,000-pound black rhinos. There's a little getting together down there. Good thing there's that tree that fell over there, because those two probably going at it right now, tooth and nail. They don't quite see eye to eye on things, but that's okay. Yeah, the greater kudu, the ones that are all females, they are so quiet here in the forest, so we actually call them the ninjas. You close your eyes and they start walking by you. You can't even tell they're there unless they actually breathe on your skin. The black and white birds that you see back here, should be two of them. Yep, there they are behind you. One behind each one of those bushes there. Those are saddle-billed stork, fully grown. They'll be about 5 feet tall and have a wingspan of over 8 feet, which is wider than this truck. They are effortless flyers. They put those huge wings in the air. They can stay aloft for hours and hours. Now, that is a female and a male. They have bonded together and will now stay together for life. Looking for the Sapi River? I think I found it. If you find any river in Africa, one of the first things you want to do is check it for hippos. Hippos spend almost all day, every day, underwater. Now they come out of the water just about dark, and they'll forage all night long for about 150 pounds of vegetation. At first light, they're right back in the water again. Hippos are really lucky, because no matter how big the bodies get, they are still neutral buoyant. Here's a bunch of them on the end of the island down here. But what that means is that underwater they don't weigh anything, so they can pull those big bodies through the water with just their tiptoes of their front feet. And actually they can go long distances using that tiptoe method because it doesn't take very much effort at all. You'll see a number of them in the river that are asleep. They're getting ready to go out and do some of that foraging tonight. They make a pretty good picture. Now, if they are asleep, they can hold their breath for about 5 to 8 minutes, and then the body automatically raises to the surface, grabs a gulp of air, and drops back down to the river bottom. Now, a baby hippo, when it's born, will weigh about 85 pounds. That same animal, fully grown, will weigh 5,500 pounds. That's a big difference. They are the second biggest animal here in Africa. But folks, if you look to your left, these are Nile crocodile, much bigger than American alligator. They will grow to a length of about 20 feet long, about 2,000 pounds, which is 1 ton. You might see some on the shoreline with their mouths open. That is not a sign of aggression. That's how they regulate their body temperature. Folks, their jaws are so strong that they can literally crush the bones of their prey. Over 2,000 pounds per square inch. That is a huge clamping power. We're going out into a completely different ecosystem. Different kind of grasses, different kind of bushes, even different kind of trees. Here, let me show you one. That's a baobab tree, also referred to as the upside down tree, and you can see why. It only gets leaves on it about 3 months out of the year. Now, inside that huge trunk is a cache of water. Sometime during the first 1,000 years of their lives, baobabs learn how to hang on to water. And folks, if you've ever been through one of our droughts here in Africa, you know how brutal they are. That just makes the holding onto the water by the baobab tree even a more smarter move. They don't have to worry about droughts. Look at the view from up here. This is one of the best views in the whole reserve. Serengeti grassland system stretches for hundreds of miles through eastern Africa. It's also the superhighway for millions of migrating animals that come through here every year. Now, they migrate for food. Almost everything here in Africa is predicated one way or another on food. Now, the ecosystem that you see here is actually created by the animals that live here. Elephant, they're the bulldozer. They love pushing the trees over. Giraffe are the pruning shears. They go around the trees getting all the leaves off. And those two animals alone will allow a lot more sunlight to hit the ground. As soon as that sunlight hits the ground, the grasses take off. Good stuff that the animals really love. If you look over here on the left-hand side underneath these bushes, all you see is dirt. No sunlight gets down there, so no grasses grow. Now, about 60% of the animals here in the reserve are grass eaters. We call them grazers. And folks, we have way more than enough food for all of the animals here in the reserve. As a matter of fact, we could use some more animals. Coming up, if you look straight ahead, you'll find 3 gray animals out there. If you notice, oops, before she sat down, you can see it. They have a white ring around the rump. You can just see part of it there on the one on the right-hand side. Now, if they're chased by a predator, their hide exudes a waxy, oily substance that makes them waterproof. And right behind that hill is a great big pond. They'll run up over the herd, jump into the pond, and stay there. Almost every one of the predators that'll be chasing a waterbuck will be a big cat of some sort or another. And of course, they're absolutely, deathly afraid of the water. They won't get anywhere near it. So the waterbuck wins again. Now, there is one drawback. The waxy, oily substance I talked about that the hide exudes, it stinks. If a human can smell it 100 feet away, I'm quite certain that the big cats can smell it probably 1,000 feet away. So sometimes the things that save you hurt you. Now, let's talk a little bit about giraffes. I know that we don't see any out here. The giraffes are a very unique animal. We could talk about them for probably half an hour. There are 7 subspecies of giraffes here in Africa. The most popular 2 are reticulated giraffe and Maasai giraffe. Actually, the 2 of them are really, really close together. The only difference we've been able to find is a difference in the height. Both of them will require the height of 18 feet, which makes them the tallest animal here in Africa, but everybody already knows that. One of the things you might not know is that those 2 giraffes will actually feed 18 to 19 hours a day. In other words, if they're awake, they're feeding. But you never see a fat giraffe. Now let's see, how great would it be to eat all day long and not have to worry about gaining a pound? Cool. Way up on the hillside, underneath the shade of the tree, the gray animals you see up there are white-bearded wildebeest. Over 1 million of them will migrate through here every year. It's the largest single-species migration here in Africa, and that is a Maasai giraffe walking across. Now, just before the tree, you can see one light tan animal, black and white side stripe. That is a Springbok, and true to its name, if it's threatened by a predator, he will leap 12 feet into the air. He can actually clear this truck, and when he hits the ground, it's just like a spring. He goes off on another one, another 12 feet jump. Usually what they do is they do a zigzag pattern like this, and then at the end, they'll jump back on themselves. Usually what happens is that the predator gets so confused, frustrated, and upset, he breaks the chase off, and that's exactly what those little animals want. Now, they are full grown at the size you see them. Now, you can see a reticulated giraffe. That's the one on this side, closest to us, on that tabletop. The one on the far side, of course, is a Maasai giraffe. So there's very little difference between the animals, and they get along real well together. There's a whole group of them up there. Here's a baby giraffe. You got a camera? Oh, shoot. And he puts his head down. But that is a 6-month-old little one. Now, one of the things that helps a giraffe during its 18 to 19-hour feeding schedule is their tongue. Tongue is black or dark purple. They can extend it from their mouth anywhere from 8 to 12 inches. It's also prehensile, which means it can make a complete loop. So if they're feeding underneath a tree and they can't quite reach that last branch, they simply send their tongue out wrap it around the branch, pull it down to their mouth, and they continue feeding. Folks, they get a chance to practice that 18 to 19 hours a day, every single day. They get really good at it. On the left-hand side, mandrill. These guys, when it starts getting really hot out, they look for a nice, cool place to be, so it might be a little harder to see them. But if you get a chance to see one, take a look at the face. It's full of color, blue and red. As they get older, the color in the face and around the head gets absolutely brilliant, almost like neon. They become very, very colorful at that point. Remember Rafiki, how bright his face was? Well, that's what the mandrills will look like because he was a mandrill. Now, a big male will be about 100 pounds. Female, only 30 pounds. So if you saw the two of them standing together, you'd think that the male was standing next to a baby. In actuality, the babies are so small, you could hold them in the palm of your hand. If you ever get a chance to do that, do it. And then do this, because they just jump at your fingers. They just think that's the greatest fun in the whole world. And that's great. Road closed. That's the way we used to go years ago. This is a great way. We had the 2-day rainstorm and it finally washed that little bridge away. So they had to close us. In the meantime, they gave us another trail to follow. And then they started to build a bridge, but it doesn't look like it's finished. Well, you'll see when we get out there, okay? Here's the bridge. Now, I really don't trust this bridge, so what I'm going to do is ask you to cross your fingers, hold on to your kids real tight. I'm going to try to sneak across this bridge, poly, very slowly. It really moans and groans a lot. I want you to look at the bridge and see how much of it hasn't been finished. This is not good. It doesn't give you that warm, fuzzy feeling, does it? So far, so good. Uh-oh, hang on, folks, hang on. Lean to the right, lean to the right. Oh, that did it, hang on, let me get off this bridge. Wow, that was close. Everybody okay back there? I only heard 3 people. The rest of you guys are having cardiac arrest or what? I only got 1 AED up here, so if you get a heart attack, you gotta stand in line. Now this is elephant territory. You can tell from the footprints on both sides of the truck. Also the tusk marks in the clay. Here we're looking for a herd of elephant, and there's one right here. Oh, and it's got a baby with it. Aww. Yeah, he's less than a year old, folks, so he's still getting breakfast, lunch, and dinner at Mom's place, if you get my drift. There you go. That's a good picture, too. Now, this is a matriarchal society. Usually the oldest and wisest female will pretty much take control of the herd. And you do say, well, what happened to the guys? Well, males are pushed out of the herd when they get to be a certain age, and they become loners. If you see a single out here, it will almost always be a male. Now, they will never be allowed back in their birth herd. They will be invited into other herds during the course of their lifetime. That's only going to be during the mating season. That's 2 weeks out of the year. The rest of the time they will spend truly alone. No cell phone, no TV, no NBA, no NFL. Alone. There's a whole bunch of them out here. Wow, look at them. Great pictures though. Hope you got your camera running. Now a baby elephant, when it's born, will weigh about 300 pounds. And for all you moms on board, listen to this. The mother will have carried that baby for 22 months. We thought 9 months was a long time. Now if you got your camera, here's a great picture for the cover of your photo album of your African safari. Take your camera, turn it sideways. Shoot the baobab tree with a reflection pond and beautiful blue sky. That's a great picture, folks. You can't duplicate that picture anywhere. And that's one big baobab tree. On the island, greater flamingo. Now flamingos get their pink color from the brine shrimp that they eat. It's got a lot of carotene in it. And the greater flamingos are the lightest of all the different flamingo families. They're not pink all over. Trailing into the wing is jet black. The area above it's real bright orange. That's on the inside of the wing. We need one of these birds to open up its wings for you. And folks, most of them are sound asleep, so I don't guess we're going to see it. the size of these guys. Now these are white rhinos. They get much bigger. The one on this side is a 5-year-old male. His mother is on the other side. She weighs 4,600 pounds. Real close to being fully grown, because they'll usually get up to about 5,000 pounds. Much, much bigger than black rhino. Now, neither the black rhino nor the white rhino have very good eyesight, but their hearing is incredible. Watch the ears. The ears are independent of each other. They can swing 360 degrees, and as you can see, they're cone-shaped. So they'll hear sounds that you and I will never hear, especially with our flat ears. They can listen to more than one sound, usually at least 2, if not more, from both sides of their head. There used to be an old wives' tale here in Africa that said you can't sneak up on a white rhino. Folks, I'm here to tell you that is true. You can't. A couple of years ago, we had an opportunity to find out. She had us dead to rights about 400 feet out. So we asked the animal person, are they listening for our footsteps? Yep, she said. The male. Yep. I know, it's not like that in my house either. Now, they're not very active during the daytime. As you can see, this is their sleep time. They're much more active late at night, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, when it's nice and cool. Their nighttime vision is about 8 times better than ours, which means that they can see at night almost as well as we can during the daytime. Pound for pound, one of the strongest animals out here is a female lion. They're strong, they're smart, and they're quick. That's a deadly combination. Ostrich eggs weigh about 3 pounds apiece. Now that's a communal nest, which means more than one female ostrich will actually lay her eggs in that nest. They never argue over the chicks, so they must know which one's theirs. Now, you see 2 ostriches here. You know what that tells me? We're going to have rain. Young lady, I need for you to remain seated. Thank you. These 2 are actually better than any weatherman you ever saw. And I'll tell you the reason why. The sun and the sand will keep them nice and warm, but when it rains, especially if it rains hard, it'll cool those eggs off. That's something they don't want to have happen. So when they show up, you know it's going to rain. Everybody got their rain stuff with them? Cool. The white animals you see over here on the hillside, these are called adaks. They come to us from the Sahara Desert area. Oh. I want you to look at the horn set on this animal. It is very unique. And because of that uniqueness, every trophy hunter that has come into Africa has wanted to bag an adaks simply for that horn set. And because of that, there's only 300 of these animals left in the wild. They're actually scooping them up pretty quick and putting them in reserves like this so that we can help protect them. Now they have really developed into a really great desert animal. Their hide, as you can see, turns snow white during the summertime to help protect them from the heat of the sun. During the wintertime, it's a soft brown. And they don't have to drink water. They can get enough moisture from the plants that they eat. That's what they actually have turned into a very good desert animal. Now, if you had land here in Africa and you were willing to share it with the animals, there would be some challenges. First and foremost, if there's lion in the area, obviously the safety of any humans in that area would be the first order of business. For us, we'd love to see the complete elimination of financial gain or profit from illegal hunting and poaching. One of the guys here said it best: if the money were to disappear, poaching would disappear overnight.